Hello everyone, Namaskar. And today we are here to discuss very important topic with respect to the RERA and ADR. As we all know how important these two topics are with respect to the home buyers, and we have seen a lot of cases of home buyers and they are struggling a lot. So today we are going to discuss the opportunity as well for the members, the technicalities, practical challenges, how we can overcome and how we can give justice to the home buyers and how we can conclude the cases with the alternate resolution we have the ADR. So how we can use the alternate mode to resolve the cases. So the committee CECL, the Committee on Economic, Commercial Laws and Economic Advisory has organized the today's session, and we have very wonderful speaker for the RERA matters. Today we have Shri Vinay Thiagra sir. Welcome sir on today's session. And second session we have Justice Vineet Kothari ji, who will be deliberating on the matter of arbitration and the professional opportunities out there. So before starting this, I will first brief you about the Committee on Economic, Commercial Laws and Economic Advisory. The committee in line with...
Aniruddha, can I do that?
Sorry, sir?
Can I do the briefing about committee, because I have a broader picture in my mind?
Yes, sure, sir, sure.
Thank you.
Even I'm going to invite you to brief about the committee and
to save time, I will start. Nehru.
Yeah, sure, sir.
Good evening, respected professional colleagues and all listeners. Madam Salini Gulalti ji, the dynamic secretary of this committee. Mr. Aniruddha Tiwari, CA Aniruddha Tiwari, very enthusiastic, vibrant moderator. We are very lucky. And CA Vinay Thiagraj and Justice Vineet Kothari ji also is a chartered accountant and a company secretary, besides being law. And so on second session, I would like to talk to each one of you. And I'm very lucky that God has given me such a wonderful members in the committee, Vice Chairman CA Hansraj ji Chub, Secretary Madam Salini Gulalti ji, and the wonderful members. What I would like to talk here is, this committee is like a whole planet. This is a 2 segment. Just now, we had a internal webinar from 3 p.m. to about 3:50, where Mr. Vinay was there, and we were discussing a certificate course on real estate, including RERA. Because the land is only asset, where the word real is there. Coming to this committee, Madam Salini Gulati has created, more than 80 WhatsApp group, 40 group on business laws. Like we have advocacy and business tribunal, competition, intellectual property right, and so many, like we have 1300 laws in our country, and about 700 laws are pertaining to business. And the CA, because of our training, because all round knowledge of the business, the finance, the law, purchase, sales, and when it comes to an interpretation, we are the one who started interpreting the most complex legislation which people consider income tax law, inclusive definition, exclusive definition, the meaning of comma, meaning of full stop. So I would request organizers if we can have this screen made more interactive, and we remove this banner of RERA and ADR. So this is one. And then on economic advisory, how each major industry can become a world leader in India, and at an international level, the advisory to other countries, international organization. Now, what is here before you? Like we have taken this initiative of Friday webinars where we will discuss two topics, and Saturday webinars, which also we can say is a part of CECL, because that is a continuing professional education committee where we will be talking about all subjects. So even business law and economic advisory get covered there. Now, I always say this, everything first happen in the mind and then in reality. Whatever will not happen in the mind will not happen in reality. Like today's webinar first happened in the mind. There were, whether we will be able to manage. We are talking about 52 into 4 session. That means we are talking about 208 session in a year. We are talking about 208 speakers, and we are talking about 102 moderators. So we have a founder moderator, CA Aniruddha Tiwari, and a founder speaker, Vinay Tyagraj. I invite each one of you to become a speaker, to become writer. You decide in your mind, you leave rest of the things to the committee, Madam Salini, to myself. And, we have another wonderful officer, Ajit Nath Tiwari, who is a secretary of CPEC. We have Mr. Krishnakant, whom we can see. He is again a wonderful officer who will be taking the lead. Madam Salini Gulatki, Madam Hina, Madam Chanda Sukla. There are, all Koinu diamonds we have collected in these two committees. Then we have a background material for each of these subjects. There is a reasonable honorarium, 500 rupees per page. There is a review honorarium. And then we have schemes where, in whichever branch you are a member, see that branch organizes a seminar, there is a grant. I welcome Dr. Vinit Kothari ji, Justice. I had an occasion to meet him at his home. And when I was not a council member, maybe 4 years, 5 years. It's an amazing experience. We have diamonds and diamonds in our profession who are ready to share their total knowledge. And God has made only one product which increases by sharing, and that is knowledge. Only sharer will be the beneficiary. Listeners may learn, but the sharer will learn more than a listener. So please participate in this wonderful exercise. Like we have the CPEC portal. I would like to show you this portal because we were doing some exercise just before 10 minutes. And we can register, we have put about 100 subjects on so each of those subjects where you are specialized, let me put CPEC, ICAI. Google Baba is such a big Baba. The whole world, it will put China, Pakistan economic border and everything if we type CPEC. Because he will pick up China. Ajit, you have to assist me. What is our name? CPEC?
Sir, cpeici.org.
CPEC?
cpeici.org.
CPEICAI, sir. You have to remove CPEC. CPE.
cpeici.org.
CP, only CP.
Yes, sir.
ICAI.
CPE, I see.
Another thing which I want to tell to my friends now. No, it is not CPE, ICAI.
CPE, sir. CPE.
Continuing professional education, CPE, sir, dot ICAI
Now
dot
it's,
org.
now it's.
This website is very heavily used. Therefore, it is taking time to download. So here we have made where one can register as a faculty for many courses. So please visit this website. And if we have not mentioned your subject here, where are subjects, Ajit?
Sir, subject
Yeah,
they
these
have
are the
to-
subjects, faculties for accounting, auditing, and you start giving the serial number and maybe add more subjects.
Yes, sir.
I want each one of you to become a thought leader. Tomorrow we are having that subject. Now, who is a thought leader? Thought leader is one who is seen and who is heard. हिंदी में एक कहावत है या एक टेस्टेड प्रिंसिपल है, जो दिखता है वो बिकता है. So if I want to be a successful professional, I should be seen. So I can be seen when I speak, or I write a book, or I write an article. I'll be heard if I speak at a study circle, if I speak at a branch, if I speak at a national forum. This is one. When we become CA, we have to pass auditing paper and we learn CA Act 1949. And there are two schedules, Schedule 1 and Schedule 2. Schedule 1 we read, there are 3 clauses which we read. Clause 5, securing the work. Clause 6, soliciting the work. Clause 7, advertising for the work. Use of social media for sharing knowledge does not violate 5, 6, 7. So please extensively use social media. Make a YouTube channel. YouTube channel will give you income. There is some criteria, 1,000 members, some particular number of hours. So I have created a YouTube channel 3-4 months back when I decided to contest election. And now today I was seeing, there are already 950 members who are subscribers. Use Instagram. Vinit ji, आप भी शुरू कीजिए YouTube channel. Now you are a free bird, no restriction of any ministry and other things.
I'm yet to learn flying with you, sir.
Sir, we will do this together. We had decided earlier to write book together. We will speak later on
No,
this.
surely we'll do some.
We will work on
And
that.
this is part of this great activity.
Yes, I'm
You
talking,
and Ruth are
our
doing.
lectures will be like discussing within home. So, there are 8 to 10 platforms, social media, and there is a world population of 700 crores. And 420 is not a good figure, but more than 60% of the population uses social media.
Yes.
There is a Facebook and LinkedIn where we can be member of 6,000 groups. And suppose if one group has a 10 lakh members, by my one posting, I reach to 10 lakh members. So we should, and any subject, like the list of subject is also very wide. What Vinay ji is covering, the right of allottees are common sense, but codified in the law. Like, we studied in Sale of Goods Act, principle of caveat emptor, buyer beware. Here, when we buy a property of crore or lakhs, we don't read agreement. So an opportunity for a professional is you charge 10,000, 15,000. Tell a prospective customer, please invest this amount before you pay a single penny to purchase a property. So on RERA, I will speak this much. Coming to the another topic, which is, a topic so relevant. So there are 4 crore cases pending in various courts. And in civil matter, there is again a saying, Miya Bibi Raji, to kya karega Kaji? If there is a settlement between parties to the dispute, if suppose I have to pay 1 crore to Anirudh Tiwari ji, and Anirudh ji says, Mr. Adukia, you are doing a lot of work for the profession. You pay me only 1,000. I don't need 99,99,000. Court cannot say this is absurd. Why you are accepting only 1,000 rupees? So the arbitration, today we are discussing, I don't know what Vinitji is going to discuss, but mediation, we want to have a separate certificate course because 40 hours training is required to get empaneled as a mediator. So, and there is a mediation bill pending before Parliament on 21st December 2021. And in the commercial code, there is an amendment. The case will not start unless the mediation exercise has been done. And in the world also, before World War II or even earlier, all settlements have done through mediation. We have oldest 1899, we had a mediation in our that point of time, civil procedure law. Code of Civil Procedure, we had section 89. So we had the old law 1940. And this is simplest law. Even a totally illiterate person can be an arbitrator or a mediator. A great opportunity which somehow we need a lot of volunteers. We have a certificate course which we started about 17 years back. Anirudh ji and Madam Salini and Ajit, we were trying to work out how to have that database of all arbitral institution. Vinit ji, हम सबको हम ये लिखना चाहते हैं. हमारे पास काफी मेंबर्स ने ये सर्टिफिकेट कोर्स किया है. What is the number, Anirudh?
I've also done that. As sitting judge of Madras High Court, we did 26 judges, 40 hours mediation training.
हाँ,
बहुत अच्छा.
मैंने भी किया है ये इंडियन लॉ इंस्टीट्यूट से और मध्याह्न जो संस्था है. तो हम सारे आर्बिट्रल इंस्टीट्यूशन को ये पैनल भेजना चाहते हैं कि टेक दिस वंडरफुल मेंबर्स हु हैव डन द ट्रेनिंग. दूसरा एक जो one work which we want to do immediately is I want to propose an arbitral institution run by ICAI. Because when I had introduced the course 2004 in my earlier term of Central Council, that time there was a lot of MCA was saying how CA will do arbitration and all that. That time Joint Secretary. But now we have many bodies like XBRL, IPA, valuation. So I want an ICAI arbitration and mediation institution. Maybe a Section 8 company. So we need to develop the draft rules for arbitration, rules for mediation. So those participants who are listening, Shalini ji, what is the count of the listener just now? Or Ajit ji, if I can have the count.
It is more than 2,500.
Superb, superb. 20, see, in the business mathematics or professional mathematics, 1 plus 1 is 11. So on the screen, I see when 8 people, it is 8,888. So I want them, and Ajit ji and Salini ji, I want on this group to be shared. You create Telegram group. For ADR, we already have. For real estate, you create a Telegram group and post a link. And maybe other Telegram groups. We are creating state-wise Telegram groups. See the creators, 2 lakh members can be there in one Telegram group. So we want to think out of box. We want to fly in the sky like an eagle. So please, break all the shackles, all the barriers. And the committee, the wonderful officers and, the experts like Justice Dr. Vinit ji, CA Vinay, and, the moderators like CA Anirudh, all are there to assist us. So I'll stop here because we want to listen on the subject. But Anirudh ji, I cut down because I felt, let me give a detailed idea and what is of importance to me if I am a listener, how I will be benefited. One is the subject knowledge, but I am saying you can earn more than that. Preparing a background material, becoming a speaker, becoming a writer. There are a small study circle. We will put you at a small study circle first, then at a branch, then at a regional council, then in a global webinar like this. So I do not write, when I speak about myself, every time I add a word global professional, global practitioner. So even if I say RERA, I will say global RERA practitioner. So RERA is in all countries. So the law is similar, only the country name will change. And similarly, ADR, there is a international court of ADR.
Yes.
There is an empanelment facility. Each country has an arbitral institution and we can apply there. When I write to some organization that please keep my name on the panel, say to all builders, if I write that please keep my name on the panel of real estate consultant or RERA consultant, Vinay ji, is it violation of code of ethics?
It has to be looked at the.
You are not getting an answer. The easiest answer is no and no. Because I am not asking for the work. I am saying I am here the expert on real estate and RERA. And since you are a builder, you will be having a panel, 10 consultant, 20 consultant. Your projects are in 20 countries. So this impression in the mind of the members is to be removed. When I write to all banks that please keep my name on the panel of concurrent audit, please keep my name on the panel of arbitrators. Each trade association has a panel of arbitrator. Each arbitral institution has a panel of arbitrator. Now for mediation, each court has to have a mediation panel. It's a mandatory. So we are bound by our understanding. In Code of Ethics, I am a member. I am saying Code of Ethics should be a facilitator rather than roadblock. All the name of the regulators have changed. Earlier, we had a controller of import and export. Now it is Director General of Foreign Trade. We had DPIIT, Department of Promotion of. Now all names are becoming a facilitator. I am telling Ajit Nath ji, in our CPC committee, we write, monitor, regulate. I said, please remove all these words. It is to make everyone a global practitioner, everyone a thought leader. And we have all the resources, unlimited time, unlimited resources, unlimited mentors are available to guide each one of you as hand holding. Thank you. Anirudh ji, over to you.
Thank you.
Are we live on YouTube and Facebook, all this? 2,500, where do we get?
Sorry.
Are
Participants
we live on
only.
other social platforms like YouTube or Facebook or whatever?
We may not be, but I'll be requesting the committee a very good question. Salini ji and-
Madam said that our audience is up to 2,500. Where from she gets this figure?
No, we have an agency, some ETV. So they have given this figure. We have a count. We are live, but what point has come from tomorrow's webinar, Ajit ji and Salini ji, we should make it live on Facebook, live on YouTube, find out other social media where we can be
Whatever
live.
sources you have.
Yeah. And create, see, we are telling members to use social media. If the committee do not use social media, each committee, see, institute may have their, but committee should have their Facebook page, committee should have their Twitter, this thing handle, committee should have their Insta handle, committee should have their, YouTube channel. It is much easier. And then larger resources are always available. So, sir, very wonderful suggestion. I would request Salini ji and Ajit ji, they are wonderful officers. I'm so lucky. Profession is so lucky that, you tell them work and it will be 24 hours they are ready to work. No time restraint.
Young people, yes.
Over to you, Anirudh ji.
Thank you so much, sir. And it was really fantastic to hear you. And you have given a great insight about the committee, what we are actually doing for the members, what our vision, what are our mission, how we can contribute towards the society as well, and how we can create the opportunity, global opportunity for the members. I'm really thankful to you, sir. The energy which you have and the motivation which you have, and you always shown to each and every member. I'm really thankful to you, sir, because I remember the time when I told you that I want to start an organization. You have told me that start a global organization. And in line with the same, I have started the global organization which I'm running by. And Kothari sir has also addressed a session out there.
Sir, लोगों को subject पे सुनना है.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. And now we are moving towards our today's session, and the first session on the right and duties of allottees under RERA. So before going into the topic, I will first brief you about our today's speaker, the first speaker, Mr. Vinay Tyagaraji. He is the fellow member of Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. He has done LLB as well. And he is the founder partner of Venu and Vinay, the Chartered Accountants, Bangalore-based firm, which have more than 20 years of experience in the taxation and business consulting. Mr. Vinay has chosen to practice in the field of RERA from the year 2016, when RERA came into the picture. And he has delivered more than 200 workshops over the various forum institutions, including the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India and various management colleges as well. He has been the co-author of book RERA Law and Practice, and he has served as a member of various technical committees of ICAI. So with this brief introduction, we welcome you, Vinay sir, and request you to please deliver, please address today's audience. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Mr. Yes, please put a focus on speaker. Thank you.
Very good afternoon to members. Thank you for CECL and the EA committee to invite me to share some of my knowledge on the RERA. I am privileged to be a speaker for the today's session, and also I heard that this is the first session of this committee. So it's more of a privilege for me to lead this today's session, sir. Without taking much time about anything else, I would like to come on to the subject about today's topic, which is of rights, duties, obligation, and also what would be the penal provisions for allottees under RERA. Friends, we all know that, and we all are part of this something called purchase of the real estate, which may be a land, building, or a plot. And we all called as a allottees under RERA. The alternative word which we can use it as a customer, buyer, or whatever you call it as. We are all called allottees under RERA. Throughout the RERA Act, it talks about allottee only. It doesn't talks about as a customer or a buyer. So that is the one thing which we should remember about the RERA Act. It talks about allottees only. Being a part of this RERA Act, let us look into what would be my right, what is the duty and obligation. One thing which I would like to mention is this is an act, very small act, even though it's a very small, but it has a very depth in this. Friends, I will tell you in over my past experience of 5 years and 6 years of my experience with RERA, the very small act has an entire requirement for any builder or a promoter to carry out his business. You name it, whether it's related to the legal, related to the financial, related to the plan sanction, related to the NOCs, related to the litigation, related to the dispute resolution, related to the compensation, you name it, everything is fitted into this small act. The act has only 92 sections. Of 92 sections, only 19 sections are more relevant about operations and also how the promoter deliver a project and how allottee takes the project. Remaining is more of an administrative from the point of view of the authorities or the tribunal. So this is a very small piece of legislation. I invite every participant here to go through this a small piece of legislation. It's a very good legislation to read and understand whether we practice or not. I'm sure that most of the participants and our members do undergo a question from either from their relatives, their clients, their friends, or for themselves about something about the RERA, because because the reason that we will encounter the situation of people buying or everybody end up with buying some of the piece of a real estate. So this is a small background, and in today's topic, I will look into what is the definition of an allottee under the Act and what is the rights and duties of allottees under the Real Estate Regulation and Development Act, Section 19. What is a sale agreement talks about. One thing which I would like to mention that the Act, one of the objective of the Act is transparency, accountability, responsibility, and also the standardization of the business practices under real estate. So one of the objective being the standardization of the practices under the real estate, the Act has given a power to the state government to notify the agreement of sale. So what does that mean? The agreement of sale, which is so notified by the state governments. So the same format and same spirit, same intention should be as part of the sale agreement for every real estate project. Friends, we all aware that a sale agreement can be drafted within a 2-page and also a 200 pages. By having RERA is into the picture, the agreement is a very standardized format, and also content is also standard. And no builder, no promoter can dilute or maybe overtake the whatever the terms of the sale agreement, and which is well within the ambit of RERA. Next, we'll also look at that what happens if some of the orders which are passed by the allottee, by the authority, which are not complied with. Finally, we'll see that what would be the impact of penalty for failure to comply with the orders of the tribunal also. Friends, let me tell you that what do you mean by rights and duties of allottees? From where, what is the source for the allottee to get a right, on what he gets a right and what is his duties? If you happen to read a section 11 and section 19, section 11 talks about function and duties of the promoter. Friends, under the Act, under the RERA Act has a mention of the promoter, and Act doesn't mention the builder, Act doesn't mention the landowner, Act doesn't mention investor. Under the Act, what is mentioned is the promoter. So under the promoter, definition of a promoter, everything is included, whether it may be a builder, developer, landowner, investor, GPA holder, or the PA, or the person who is developing on behalf of the other person. So it has captured, it has covered It includes all the people, all the persons who deals with the real estate, and the end user is a customer. That is which includes as part of the definition of a promoter. And as I mentioned already, allotee means in a general words, a customer, a buyer. We'll see the definition of a allotee in a subsequent slide. And if you see this, section 11 talks about functions and duties of promoter. Section 19 talks about rights and duties of the allotee. That means to say promoter has a function to do, and against that functions, the allotee has a right to ask some of the information, some of the clarification, some of the documents for it. That is what is the difference between section 11 and section 19. 11 is more about the functions, it's more about the obligations, more about the responsibility. Against those responsibility, what are the rights of the allottees under the project? Having said, as I mentioned that like there is a definition for the definition in terms of the allotee in the project. Section 2D of the Act has defined the definition of an allotee in relation to the real estate project, a person whom a plot or an apartment or a building has been allotted or sold, and also which goes on reading that which include the person who has subsequently acquired the said allotment through the sale, transfer or otherwise, but does not include a person whom such property or such piece of land, such unit is taken on rent. So with this, it is very clear that the allotee definition includes a primary allotee and a allotee who subsequently transfer his allotment through a sale, transfer or otherwise, like by way of assignment. It is very common in the real estate projects where a person has booked his unit, maybe apartment or a plot. Before completion of the project, he may assign, he may transfer his right to a subsequent person. The subsequent person is also called and also included as a part of definition under section 2D of the Act. So this is what is one of the important aspects, because we have come across various cases, various judgments, various complaints filed by the individual allottees where they have taken the right, they acquire the right from the previous agreement holder, and that agreement when he filed a complaint for deficiency of the services, the promoter has represented that is not covered under definition of allotee. However, with the definition, it's very clear that the subsequent buyer, subsequent purchaser, subsequent customer is also included as part of the allotee. So in case of the building which is built on freehold land or a leasehold land, even the person leaseholder is also included as part of the definition of a allotee. It is very so common that some of the land which is acquired or which is given on lease by the government agencies, which has a limited lease period of 30 years, 60 years or 90 years. If in the intern, the leaseholder transfer the lease, sublease to the end user, then the leaseholder is also included as part of the definition of this allotee. So example, Lavasa Corporation of Maharashtra has given a long judgment in terms of whether the lease is included under RERA number 1 and who is the allotee in case of a leaseholder arrangement is very clear on those aspects. And also I mentioned that transfer from the allottees to a third person, that is the subsequent allotee who gets the assignment. This is the entire definition of a allotee under the Act, and most of the complaints are in case of any differences comes in terms of a subsequent allotment. This definition has covered the aspect of it. And as you mentioned that this duties, rights and duties of the allottees comes under the chapter 4 under the Act. Chapter 3 is more about the functions and duties of the promoter, and chapter 4 is about rights and duties of the allottees. So what does that mean? You mean to say that is there any special power which is given under RERA for any of the allottees where this was not available prior to RERA comes into an existence? The answer is yes, answer is no, because earlier there were no specific act which governed the real estate. even though we call it as a real estate as a second largest contributor, second largest industry after the agriculture, and unfortunate for over 7 decades, we did not have a regulator to regulate this industry. However, we had various statutory agencies to monitor various approvals over the period, one approval to 100 approvals. If you ask me, a real estate project of a medium size require about 20 different approvals from the 20 different authorities. So those are all the specific to the specific and restricted to their agency or their compliances. However, this is an industry which required to be governed by an authority or agency, so-called the RERA, which has comes into existence from 1/5/2017, and after RERA has come into existence, which defined clearly that what is the allottee and what is the promoter. Of course, these are all the rights which were prevailed even prior to RERA by way of the contractual obligation under various other act, contract act, it may be a contract act, or it may be something like a we call it as a MOFA in terms of Maharashtra, in terms of KOFA, Karnataka, like various states had their own regulations in terms of the managing and constructing of the flat with the customers. But majorly it was governed under Contract Act earlier. Now the RERA is being the specific, and also this being the specific provisions for this. So let us look into what does that mean, the rights, what are the rights they have it, and from where they derive these rights also. One of the right, as I mentioned, that I'm discussing more about section 19. Section 19 of the Act, chapter 4, section 19 of the Act has very clear that the rights and duties of the allottees. One is entitled to obtain information relating to the sanction plan, layout plan, specifications of project, and such other information as provided in the Act or the rules and regulations or the agreement for sale. Let us understand this. So if you may ask the question, sir, did we not had the right prior to the RERA? I did already mention that yes, we had it, but there was no specific place, or there was no specific act to govern under this. It was only under the regular contractual, because Contract Act, and as you know that agreement of sale, which is equivalent, which is part of your contract. So by virtue of that Contract Act, every allottee had a right to ask. But obviously, if that is not part, then there is a limited right for the customer to go back and ask the details also. So now Act is very clear, irrespective of the agreement of sale which is notified by the RERA, or irrespective of the information which are provided or not by the promoter, so-called a builder, under the Act, the allottee has a right to obtain, entitled to obtain all this information. One, as I mentioned, that sanction plan. We all know that what do you mean by a sanction plan. In case of a building approvals, there is a sanction plan which are given by the planning authorities. And as a customer, as a allottee in the project, I have a entitled to collect this information, sanction plan. And honestly tell you, how many of you look into the sanction plan while we purchase, while we recommend, while we advise to the customer, look at the sanction plan. Who will look at the sanction plan? At max, the banker who fund the plan, for a property, he will look at the sanction plan. And as a layman, I may not able to appreciate what do you mean by sanction plan, how it looks, and where do I look into my sanction plan. But I'm sure that as a professional, if we able to spend little time on understanding this, and we could be in a better position to understand and also advise many of the clients, whether you may be a chartered accountant or you may be an advocate or otherwise, also is easy to understand the sanction plan which are sanctioned by the planning authorities. Layout plan, in case of a plotted development project, layout plan is something. Specifications of the project, we all know that what do you mean by specification of the project, as we are living in a community. Now the the concept of community living has come for the reason of scarcity of the land which is available at the urban areas, maybe a tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 cities. So having said that, we all end up with living in a community living. There would be something which is of common to everybody, which may be a common areas or which may be a facilities which is available in the project. So what would be those things available for the allotee, which is of an individual use and which is for a common purpose to everyone? And what is that specification? The individual specification to my unit, which maybe it is constructed by using a brick, which may be constructed using Maven technology, and what is the tiles he is giving, what is the wood he is giving, what is the material which he is using for the purpose of construction. And a specification in terms of the common areas, if you ask me, what is the lift, what is the capacity of the lift, what is the clubhouse is giving, what is the common areas is giving, where the parking is available, how many parking are available in total for a particular person and for the guest parking. See, these are all the bigger information which as an allotee I am entitled to collect this information. But however, when we buy it, we restrict ourselves to look at what is I am entitled, or as a unit, as an individual unit, what I am entitled to, and also at a bigger picture of what is a clubhouse facilities or the common facilities. And also, as I mentioned, that these rights are coming from the functions which ought to have been delivered by the promoter. So as I mentioned, section 11 talks about the functions of the promoters. Section 12 talks about veracity of advertisement. Section 13 talks about agreement of sale. Section 14 talks about modification of plan. Section 15 talks about transfer of rights and liabilities in the project. Section 16 talks about insurance of the project. Like this, those are all the functions of the promoter. Against those functions, the customer, the allotee, has a right in that to ask those information. Also, he is also entitled to know what is entitled to know in the project is called stage-wise schedule of project. I'll explain you what do you mean by stage-wise schedule of time schedule of the project, how it important, how it impacts our decision, and why I should know about the stage-wise time schedule. And in case if it is not honored, if it is not done, then what would be our role and what would be our action plan against that. Friends, this is a stage-wise time schedule of the project is a mandatory provision under section 11, where promoter shall disclose a stage-wise time schedule of the development of the project. Also, stage-wise payment of money to be collected from the customer. As we all know that in a project, the promoter used to collect about 25% before he entered into agreement of sale with us as a token advance of 1 lakh rupees or 2 lakh rupees. But when we wanted to enter into agreement of sale, he used to demand 25% of the amount agreement of sale. And when I willing to pay this 25% of agreement of sale, even I am entitled to know that whether the 25% of the work in the project is completed or not. The very much reason is we also has to look at where is the work progress happening, whether progress is happening or not. Otherwise, the money may not be used for the purpose which they have collected. There is a more scope for diverting this money for any other project or any other business of the promoter which he is carrying on. So with that small note, one thing is I should know schedule of stage-wise completion of the project and also the stage-wise payment plan, which may be included what would be the project details, including the water, power, sanitation. Please look at that, your agreement of sale or a RERA registration application for the details of the stage-wise time schedule. And in the next screen, I'm showing you, this is the information the promoter should give as a part of the RERA registration. The screen which you are seeing is the stage-wise time schedule of payment or a work. What does that mean? The promoter has to schedule, has to plan his project development from an excavation stage to a completion stage. We should start from here and how we can reach here. And friends, unless the organization which has a disciplined way of working, which has a structured way of working with the professionals. This information is very difficult to provide either to the RERA registration or to the allottees. As we know that this is an industry, about 40 to 50% of the promoters or the so-called builders are organized, and balance 40 to 50% of the builders are all like unorganized, or maybe a sole proprietor or a proprietorship or a private limited companies, very, very closely held companies, where they work themselves a project to project or maybe a couple of multiple projects together. However, there is no structured way, there is no professional in terms of working. I'm not doubting their ability of delivering the work, but only thing is structuring the entire project since from the beginning till a completion, and follow it like a budgeting versus spending, like actual forecasting versus execution of the work. The reason is here the promoter is a proprietor, he himself is a partner, he is involved in day-to-day work, day-to-day business. He may not require this reporting to somebody, reporting activity to somebody, so he may not be preparing this information. However, post RERA, this is a mandate under section 11, mandate under section 19. Under 11, it is a function of the promoter. Under section 19, it is the rights of the allottees to collect this information. On the screen, you can see that what is the work schedule of the work, which goes from the substructure till the completion of the project. What is the substructure? When I am estimated to transfer, when I am estimated to complete the project. Like a superstructure, under superstructure, it may be a RCC, it may be a plastering, wall construction, whatever may be the superstructure. When I am tentatively starting this superstructure, when I am tentatively completing the superstructure. Subsequently, if you see the finishing work also, as I mentioned that what is the electrical to painting to elevation to fixture of equipments, and also look at what is the internal and external landscape as per the sanction plan. Friends, I'm not exaggerating. This is the application which is available in the RERA module of the Karnataka. I am copying it and giving and presenting before you. This gives a information. This gives a sight of information to the allottees, how my progress of the project is happening, whether the promoter is doing the work accordingly. If not doing the work, whether he has raised his demand for the stage wise, is correct. Consider he has raised a demand on 1st December 2020 stating that towards the internal and external work, including the landscape as per the sanction drawing. And whether it really has been done or not, I do not know. Then I can go back and check in the project, ask for the supporting document stating that you raised the 85th percent of milestone of the payment, whether it is really happened or not, whether it's happened in a way and manner you have promised it. And also subsequently in terms of the internal development work, amenities in the project, common area development. See, this is the entire thing called as a schedule of completion of work. For each schedule of the completion of the work, the promoter has to give the information at the time of registration or maybe after registration as part of his quarterly update to the RERA authorities. These informations are available to the allottees, and these are all the entitlement of the allottees to collect this information from the promoter of the project. What we have seen is what is entitled to obtain. Second is what is entitled to have the information. Third is entitled to claim. So what is mean by a claim? So in terms of the possession or the apartment or a plot or a building, as the case may be, is entitled to claim the possession of it. In accordance with what? In accordance with the agreement of sale, he has entered with the promoter. The agreement of sale is in accordance with the format which is notified by the RERA authorities itself as part of the rules, RERA rules. So how the possession would be obtained, whether the possession would be obtained the way and manner it is prescribed, whether he has given all the information, whether he is giving the possession in the way that he has specified as part of the specification, and whether he has delivered everything in accordance with the plan sanction, what we have seen it, and also what is his promise to me as part of the agreement, entire thing, whether is giving the possession or not. And I have a claim as a allotee, I have a claim to get this information. Next is also it is at the individual level about my unit, and also common areas. What are the common areas which I has mentioned to you? Friends, section 2N of the RERA Act has mentioned and defined what is the common area. And if you ask me a simpler words, what is common area is anything other than your carpet area, your house which has a carpet area, your apartment has a carpet area, anything other than your carpet area, everything is a common area. And including your walls, external walls of your apartment is called a common area. Only the carpet is your personal and it is individual right. Excluding the carpet area, everything is a common area, including the entire land of the project. You may have a UDS, you may have an undivided share in the land, but the entire land of the project land is called also a definition of a common area. Include your open parking is a common area, including your driveways are common area, staircase, lift, terraces, basements, everything is comes under common area, and you have a entitled to claim a possession of the common area as per the declaration or affidavit given by the promoter. Again, what do you mean by the declaration? Many of the state has defined and mentioned that how do I claim a common area? See, by virtue of the carpet area, I get my sale deed. In the sale deed, it is mentioned that what I'm entitled to. But how do I get a possession of this common area? Who is the authority to claim this common area? That common area will be taken over by the association of the allottees. And when they take over the association of the allottees, what is the document which talks about this common area? And for maybe promoter will deliver today and goes orally. After 4 years and 5 years, if you see that something is missing, and for me to check whether whatever he has given is in accordance with what is as equal as same as what I have today. So what is the document I require? The document is called declaration by a promoter. Generally, it is called deed of declaration. Deed of declaration is defined under respective Apartment Ownership Act. Generally, it may be a 1972. If you go to Maharashtra Apartment Ownership Act, Karnataka Apartment Ownership Act, Tamil Nadu Apartment Ownership Act, respective ownership act, Apartment Ownership Act has a definition of a deed of declaration, have a content of deed of declaration, what is to be mentioned as part of the declaration. So this declaration is a document where promoter prepares it, register with the sub-registrar and giving this to the association, where he clearly mentioned what is the common areas in the project, what is the restrictive common areas in the project, where are the amenities are located, where is the facilities are there, what is the common assets like a transformer, like a lift is a common asset, like your STP in a project is a common asset, like a OWC, organic waste converter is a common asset, like your electrical fittings are the common assets. So these are all part of your deed of declaration, where promoter declares all these assets which is common to the association. And as an allotee, I have entitled to claim this document. What is that I have entitled? I have entitled to claim this document called a deed of declaration. So this deed of declaration is to be collected from the promoter while you register your project. And apart from that, other information which you have entitled to collect is the various affidavits which makes him to be clear and declare that the project is a clean, title is clean, there are no litigation. If litigation, what are the litigation? In case of a borrowing, what is the borrowing it has? In case of some encumbrance on it, what are the encumbrances? So all those declarations is something which allotee has entitled to claim from the promoter. Next, what we have seen is entitled to obtain, entitled to have, entitled to claim, and fourth one is in case of it, in case a promoter doesn't deliver it the way that it has to be delivered, doesn't deliver the way it is promised to you on the agreement of sale or a marketing brochure or way of any other presentation declaration. So what I am entitled to claim? I collect back my refund. Give me the refund. I don't want your project. I don't want your unit. I'm not satisfied. You're not delivered the way that you have promised. Please refund my money. And along with the refund, also I can claim my interest for not delivering the project in a time and way and a manner you have promised. And also a compensation. Compensation is more of a subjective case-to-case basis. What is the compensation for a one person may not be a compensation to another person. It all depends on the case-to-case basis. But interest again, as per Rule 8, as per the rules, respective rules, whatever the rules of respective states, generally it is SBI MCLR 2% for any delay of delivery of a project, or in terms of a refund and from the date of making payment from till the date of refund is the interest that is entitled to claim that interest from the promoter. And also for what reason is entitled to claim for a refund? There is no opportunity for allotee to claim a refund or a compensation unless the promoter failed to comply or unable to give the possession in accordance with the agreement of sale. And as an allotee, I thought that state example of Andhra Pradesh. Initially, they have declared the Amaravati as a state capital. Prices has skyrocketed. And next government has come. They say that Amaravati is not a state capital. Prices has fallen. You do not have a right, as an allotee, I do not have a right to go back and say that I wanted to cancel and give me the compensation and the interest. No. Only promoter failed to or unable to give the possession in agreement of sale. You may be representing a builder, you may be representing a promoter. If the allotee comes and states that if he is insisting to pay the compensation which is not in accordance with the agreement of sale, you have to guide your promoter stating that there is no fault of yours, there is no compensation, no interest liable to pay to the customer. But generally it would be where the customer always has the upper hand in terms of when he claims the interest and compensation, because we see that reality which is not complied by the promoter of the project. Second, I have a right to claim this interest and compensation where there's a discontinuation of the business. Third, suspension or revocation of registration by RERA. The reason is if the suspension or revocation by RERA, I may not get a better title, I may not have a hold on the promoter on that, because that fellow is barred from RERA, the project is out of RERA. I am doubt whether I will get the benefit of it. Three, current final. Anirudhji, I'm able to, you're audible. Am
Yes,
I
sir.
audible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Next is entitled to have. As I mentioned that entitled to have necessary documents, the plan, common areas, plan and documents after handing over the physical possession of the project. And as I mentioned that duties as of now, it is of the, till now what I have seen is the rights. Also there comes with the duties. Friends, we all know that it is not only a right always I have it, also have a responsibility to do. What is my responsibility under the RERA Act as an allotee? This duties is something which promoter has the upper hand to ask from the allottees. What is the duties as an allotee? As we all know that we have to make a payment in time, manner and the time which is specified as an agreement of sale. Friends, we all know that we have committed. Example, I will go back to the same example of Amaravati of Andhra Pradesh. We all purchased, 100 people have purchased the apartment at a good price, and the project has been conceived and started project at the full swing. Tomorrow, Amaravati is not a state capital. If all the 100 promoters, all the 100 allottees goes back to the promoter and say that I don't want, please refund it. And where do we get the money? And for whom again he will sell it? So please make a note that I have an obligation, I have a responsibility as an allotee to make a payment as per the agreement of sale. And also you should pay at a proper time and place, share the registration charges. We all know that whatever be the taxes, which may be a direct taxes or any other taxes which is applicable according to the local laws has to be mentioned. Also the registration charges, which is of a stamp duty generally, and also registration has to be paid. Any other money which required to be paid as a allotee, municipal taxes, water, electricity charges, maybe a maintenance charges till he hand over the project, a ground rent or any other charges which required and liable to pay by the allottees. This is my responsibility. I'm sure that this was also governed under the Contract Act under Agreement of Sale, and also which also makes that make necessary payment as per the agreement clauses, which is to be intimated to the allottees within the time. Generally, you raise a demand of money with taxes, without taxes, whatever may be applicable, and ask them to pay within the reasonable time of intimation of that. Also, as I mentioned, that as a promoter has a responsibility to pay the delay compensation, even the allottee has liability to pay such delay interest. What is the delay interest? Same thing, SBI plus MCLR. There is no differentiation, there is no discrimination. Prior to RERA, where builder promoter used to collect 24% for a delay payment, and as a builder I used to pay 5 rupees as a square feet for delay delivery of my home. Now both are same, there is no differences. Both shall liable to pay the interest in the same percentage. If you agree to pay 6%, even I am agreed to pay 6%. If you agree to pay SBI plus MCLR 2%, even I am also liable to pay SBI MCLR. But maximum rate of interest is SBI plus 2% MCLR is the maximum rate of interest, which I mentioned on the slide also. And also in case of a reduction of interest, in case mutually agreed by the promoter, is possible to register, possible to reduce. And what is the other liabilities, other duties of the allottees? As I mentioned in the initial slide, I am living in a community living. I am living in a larger group where I have my carpet area and also a common area. To be part of the community, to be part of the group, I shall participate in terms of formation of the association. What is the formation of the association? Association of allottees, allottees association under a cooperative or any other act, any other law which is prevailing in that state based on the local laws. If you don't participate, then how can you be part of the association? So it is mandatory for every allottee to be part of the association to claim their right after the project is delivered to the association. Also shall take part of taking the possession of the unit once occupancy certificate or completion certificate received by the promoter in terms of a project. The project may be plotted or a building project. Once the project is completed and obtain the completion or occupancy certificate, it is my responsibility to take the possession of the project. The allottee cannot say that I'm in America. Now I don't need a unit by next 1 year. Please retain with you. I will take the possession after. I will take a registration or possession after 1 year. Maybe promoter may agree, but as per the act, if it is promoter is asking them to come down and take a possession, he should take a physical possession, because what happens from the date of physical possession, my defect liability runs. My defect liability under section 14 start from the date of possession of my key to the allottees. If you come after 1 year, who will maintain your unit? Who will maintain the wear and tear? Who will pay the common electricity? Who will pay the minimum charges of electricity? So these are all the challenges. The more you don't use the asset, it is more become unusable, or which has a less lifetime. So one of the important duty of the allottee is to take the possession of the unit within 2 months from the receipt of occupancy certificate. And also it's a mandatory provision that he should take the conveyance date, he should register his unit within 3 months from the receipt of occupancy certificate or a completion certificate. The reason is, consider I have paid the money as an investor. investor thinking that price will go up, so I can sell it to the customer for whatever be the reasons. Sales are, I'm not able to resell it to somebody, and you cannot say that I will come back and pay the balance final amount at the time of resale and register it. Promoter may agree, but as an allotee, he has a responsibility, he has a duty to take the registration of his unit by making necessary stamp duty and registration charges. Otherwise, if he is wanted to postpone it, maximum the promoter may allow him to postpone his registration. However, you have a liability to collect that entire consideration irrespective of whether you are allotting, whether you are registering the unit or not. So in this slide, what we have seen is you should participate in association. You should take over the possession of the unit. He also should come forward to take the registration. You should register the sale deed within 3 months. So this is very important aspect of it. And as part of the sale agreement, as I would like to mention in few minutes, because our Justice sir is here to take the next session. So I'll take another 5 minutes before I'll wrap up. And if I have some time for question and answer, I will take it. Otherwise, I'll take it at the end. Next is total price. It's escalation free. As we all know that once agreement for sale is entered, you do not have a right to think there is a fee escalation in the steel, the cement. If you see today's newspaper, NAREDCO, National Real Estate Development Council, has requested the government, the central government, to intervene and regulate the price of the steel, and also cut the export for next 2 years, because I do not have a steel for my domestic purpose. If I have to deliver my project, I've made a costing 2 years back. Now the 2 years steel back 2 years back steel is about almost 250%, 2.5 times the price now. So how do I deliver it to my customer, which I already promised? So NAREDCO, the Real Estate Development Council, and other industry bodies have requested the government to intervene and regulate the price of the cement and the steel. So total price is escalation. Because of that reason, promoter cannot escalate the price it. And also the price includes the common areas in the project. As I mentioned, that is liable to pay. The promoter is eligible to collect, and as a allotee liable to pay the taxes, which is as per that, which may be increase or decrease. I purchase in the VAT regime. Now you are in a GST. You cannot say that I will not pay GST because VAT is not there now. Okay. So Act is very clear. Any changes to the tax, any changes to the government levies, there is no escalation applicable. Allottees shall pay those things because it's a government levies. Government wanted to safeguard, secure themselves irrespective of your contract. Okay, so that is what is all about. Bottom line is all about. Government wanted to secure whether I have pronounced the GST or not. I pronounced the something down the line 2 years. Even if it is not part of your contract, you should pay those things irrespective whether you are part of the contract or not. And also, as I mentioned, it is escalation. Any other development fee which is levied by the local authority or the government, that has to be paid from time to time. In case of any increase in those prices, they should pay proportionate of that increase. Mode of payment, Act is very clear. Online, there is, if you see, no other act mentioned it. Even under income tax, there is a limit of 2 lakh, limit of 10,000 rupees. But the RERA has made it mandatory to pay only to the account pay check or a demand draft or online. No cash payment. Please make it a note. As a professional, if you go through the sale agreement, if you come across there is a clause that he has paid 2 lakh rupees in cash, please bring it to the notice of the promoter. RERA Act bars it. It is non-compliance to the RERA. And also, withdraw is allotment. He has a right to withdraw as provided in the Act. As I mentioned, he has a right to withdraw in case of promoter not able to deliver it, or discontinuation or revocation. There is no other reason for him to take back his unit as per the Act. Mean to say, there is no cancellation of the allotment in the project by virtue of the RERA Act. So this is very clear in various cases which we represented. authorities made it clear. There is no specific, if you do not have a specific reason to withdraw, Act doesn't permit, Act doesn't support it. Defective title, friends, as we mentioned that under RERA, defective title and guaranteed to a title of the property is for a lifetime, which is for a perpetuity, and allotee has a right to seek for a compensation in case of a defective. There is no limitation of time. As I mentioned, default by the promoter. If any default by the promoter, I have a right to stop making further payment. Consider, even though agreement of sale mentioned every 3 months you have to pay 2% of the consideration. Consider he has not stopped, he has stopped a construction during the COVID period. When he stopped the construction of a COVID period, my further payment also I can stop. Even though my specific agreement of sale has a specific clause to make a payment, also I have a seek direction. I also ask demand for completion according to the agreement of sale. Default of allotee, as I mentioned, if the allotee is defaulted, he has to pay the interest, which is as mentioned already. In case of a allotee wanted to refund his money without a fault of a promoter, then the promoter can deduct how much? Booking amount. What would be the booking amount? Up to 10% of the cost of the unit can be a booking amount, depends on how the agreement of sale is entered. And having deducted the booking amount, the promoter have come to the last couple of slides. In case of a allotee, what we have seen all places is in case of a promoter or a businessman failed to pay, failed to deliver, failed to execute his failed to deliver his promises, then the authority may levy a penalty. Here is an act. Even on the customer, authority can levy a penalty. Consider, we have filed a case on behalf of the promoter where allottees are stopped making a payment on various reasons. When we approach the authority, please direct the allotee to make a payment as per the agreement of sale. Then authority, when they issued the orders stating allottees to make a payment, if that, in case of that order is not honored by the allottees, then he has to end up with paying a penalty, which may be extended up to 5% of the cost of his unit. And also of the tribunal, tribunal imprisonment. Friends, look at that. I'm a customer. If I don't honor the order of the authority, don't comply with the honor of the authority or the tribunal, either I have to pay compensation by way of penalty or I have to end up with the imprisonment. I don't think any other act has a similar provisions of this. So this is a very balanced act. If you are serious about in the business, should follow it. As a allotee, as our Rajkumar sir initially mentioned, even as a professionals, we don't look into the various aspects which required. What we always look into is only a sales material, marketing material, brochures, launch of a project, without looking into what is my agreement of sale, which is mentioned. Of course, I'm not a professional. I'm not a specialized into looking into it. At least I should go to a professional, an advocate, a legal counsel, a chartered accountant, or somebody who practice on the real estate to take advice of it. Without which, as an allotee, as a customer, venturing into purchase of any of the real estate would be of at risk only. So this is about my presentation, sir. In the interest of the time, I will leave it to the organizers to take the question or not. Maybe I may take the questions now.
I have one small question. Can I ask you?
Please, sir.
You can remove the. Let us have all be on the video. So this slide things.
You can remove. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Just to understand, Vinayji, you gave a very good presentation, and I was listening all through to you.
Thank you.
Can you tell me that this? I was seeing your provisions of how the decrees will be executed. They will be like executable decrees of a civil code. Orders passed by the appellate tribunal, section 59 says that will be a decree.
Yes, sir.
Now there is no contempt power with this tribunal.
No, sir.
And you can, of course, impose penalties running from 59 to section 779 are there for this.
Yes, sir.
What is your experience of the effectiveness of the orders passed by the tribunal, appellate tribunal in this RERA law? Are they really executed at the peril of the penalty, or they just go as a paper and then nobody cares for that? How do you say that?
Vinith, sir, very good question. This is a very
Because it is a practical life question. Anybody
Yes,
would like to know what will happen if I win or lose. Whatever.
True, sir. True, sir. Sir, it's a very hard for the allottees to execute their order, sir. You know that they do not have a power like a court to issue a directions of imprisonment or something. And also they do not have a power to recover that money as a revenue, because the authority can recover under section 40 as a revenue towards their penalty, not the allottees money to be recovered as a revenue by attachment of any property or a bank. Generally, as you know that this will go as a recovery proceeding, then they have to approach the Tahsildar or maybe a DC.
So that system I know, but then that's a long process.
Very much true, sir.
So your experience shows that the orders, even though they are passed, may not bring the actual fruit to the winner of the litigation.
Sure, sir. Sure. That's
Secondly, like in Commercial Taxes Act, is there any provision for ADR or mediation or arbitration in this law?
Yes, sir. If you read section of the Act, authority has a power in terms of the reconciliation, bringing something which is in the interest of the authority, sir, in the interest of everybody, interest of the industry itself.
Section 32 I have before me.
Yes, sir.
Where does it talk of bringing an amicable settlement? Yeah, clause G.
Yes,
Measures
sir.
to facilitate amicable conciliation of dispute between the promoters
Yes, sir.
and the allottees. Now, what is your experience on this? Do they adopt these methods in the system?
Yes, sir. Sir, what happens is Maharashtra was the first state to bring the conciliation.
Yes.
Okay, conciliation. It's a very effective, but as you know that anything to get a maturity level, it takes time, sir. Okay, and what happened in Maharashtra, authority made it, RERA authority made it something called SRO. Whoever comes to the RERA as a project registration, please go to CREDAI or please go to NAREDCO, go to MCHI. You first become a member of that industry, that organization. Using that registration, come to me. That means you have some industry under the organization. If something goes wrong, then I'll also expect that CREDAI, that industry, to have some disciplinary as an association. As we all know that this industry doesn't require any of the entry restriction. Yesterday he was like a Mestri, he was a manager in my organization. Today is a builder. So there is no entry restriction to this.
So you feel that this law has really reined the unruly horse of builders in this field, really?
Yes, sir.
And it is effective law.
Yes. Sir, it's a very effective. It's a very effective. As we all, first thing we should look at, government doesn't do anything, sir. As a allottee, as a customer, I should demand something.
Yes.
Okay, because
it's a consumer law. It's a consumer.
Exactly, it's a perfect consumer protection, where industry specific consumer protection you can take it. As we know, as you know, sir, Justice sir, how many of we take a professional support while buying it? We think that bankers has funded this project. We think it is correct. So bankers are thinking of my ability to pay it, not the ability of the customer, builder to build it. So that is the difference. As the customer demands it, this law become more mature and mature, more regulatory. More people will be into the clutches of this authority. So otherwise, this will not evolve, sir. Because as I mentioned, I hope you are looking at the act itself. Very thin, very thin, very small. If you read
92 sections.
92 section having about 15 to 20 pages. It's like one day of my WhatsApp scrolling. Okay. So that is
but you gave a very good presentation. I must congratulate you. Thank you also on behalf of.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank
nice
you, sir.
Pleasure to hear you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yes, Mr. Nurud.
Yeah, thank you so much, Vinay sir. Indeed, it was a really beautiful presentation, and the content which you have shared is really great insight the participant got with respect to the topic which you have covered. So thank you so much. And now I think we should invite Kothari sir. So first we'll listen Kothari sir, his address, and at the end of the session, we will take all the questions with respect to RERA and ADR as well. Sir, is it fine?
Oh, perfectly. I'll not take much more time because it is 5:30 or so. So say for half an hour or so, then we can go for this question answer and then wind up by 6:50.
Yeah.
So thank you very much, and greetings to all the learned members in the audience. And I'm told it's a huge audience. On the screen I see only 8, but then we are linked to so many other forums and possibly yes. So friends, it's a pleasure to talk something about the ADR in the alternative dispute redressal as we know it, and how the chartered accountants, most of the audience who are members of the institute and are chartered accountants, may be interested in knowing how we can be part of this ADR mechanism in the court system or outside the court system, and the various laws which we as chartered accountants deal with day in, day out. So that is the purpose of giving this session to you. And thanks to Mr. Rajkumar Gudia and Mr. Anurudh Tiwari, who have been so actively organizing all these programs. And this is my pleasure and privilege to be part of such a session at least second or third time. So, and yes, whenever they will call, I will be available for all this, because sharing the knowledge, as Rajkumar rightly said, enhances your own knowledge. And particularly when you are in touch with the younger generation, you feel younger. And so I don't want to feel older at any point of time in my life. So it's good that we interact on these forums like this. And thanks to the technology that webinars has become the order of the day now. And we even held court on virtual platforms for the last 2 years after the lockdowns and all this, which was also as effective as physical courts. And even Honorable Supreme Court guided us all through. And that is how we could deliver the justice with these platforms. Now, friends, ADR, as you know, the words can be alternative dispute redressal or appropriate dispute redressal or whatever you say it. But then it is a effective bypass to the blocked or clogged channels of justice dispensation in our Indian legal system. Figures were given to you, 4 crores. Yes, they may be fluctuating 5-10% here or there. But despite all out effort by the judiciary, I would say about 23,000 judges, right from the civil judge to the Chief Justice of India, are doing their best to, we as judges have to work very hard, I must tell you. And despite all this hard work also, the justice is delayed. And as we all hear, justice delayed is justice denied. The other side of the coin, of course, is very rarely heard. Justice hurried is justice buried. But then that rarely happens. What is hurried is not really justice. It is just a knee-jerk reaction of what some problems somebody might be facing. So justice delayed is justice denied is a well-known glitch, and we all litigants in our country do suffer this. And therefore, in civil law, now most of the laws we will also see are introducing the provisions for compulsory ADR system to go for. Like Commercial Codes Act, Section 12A, Rajkumarji also mentioned. Though Act is of 2015, the amendment came in 2018 to introduce Section 12 capital A to say that whenever there is a suit under Commercial Codes Act with a financial stake of more than 3 lakhs, even the pending suits were transferred to commercial courts and new cases were also to be instituted there. If there is no prayer for interim relief or interim injunction, one had to mandatorily approach the ADR system. All court system in all the states of our country have the ADR forums. The government in 14th Finance Commission and created these ADR buildings, and mediation centers were created, arbitration centers were created. So mainly though Section 89 provides for 5 modes of alternative dispute resolutions, 2 are most popular, arbitration and mediation. Third is of course Lok Adalat, which is governed by Legal Services Authorities Act 1987 Act, and which is a separate mechanism altogether, where also substantial number of cases like motor accident cases, etc., where compromise is easily possible. Section 138 negotiable instrument, etc., they are settled in. But still, the kind of trust which our court system or the litigants or the counsels, advocates, CAs included, should give to the ADR mechanism in the legal system it is not getting that kind of thrust or push, I would say. Now, why so? Mostly my understanding is that firstly, there is kind of little bit of ignorance or less promotion of this idea by the advocates and community in judiciary in general. We all hear about arbitrations and mediation, but we hear more as a news items rather than the system which should work in an institutional manner in these systems. Now, Bangalore, I would say, Bangalore and Madras, where I worked for 2 years each, are exceptions. There, the building of the ADR, a separate dedicated building, a big building, I would say, is a throbbing activity place, happening place. Hundreds of lawyers are duly registered as mediators and counsels for mediation and arbitrations. And constantly meetings go on there for settling the disputes. And success rate is approximately 30 to 50%, which is very good. So you take out that clog, the block of the system, and like heart bypass surgery, the courts can at least breathe a little bit more easy and do the best possible service to the public service to the litigants at large. Now, what is arbitration and what is mediation? We have separate arbitration act in our country in 1996. It was framed on the unicitral model. Earlier law was 1940 Act. Prior to that also there were enactments, but 1940 Act had several kind of lacunas which did not allow the fruits of the arbitration also to go to the people. And as this we were talking about RERA law in the previous session also, that unless the teeth of execution is given to the concerned adjudicator or the tribunal, the effectiveness of the result or award under arbitration law cannot be secured. Now, Section 36 of the Arbitration Act gives the power of enforcement of the arbitral award to the civil court again. The arbitrator himself does not have any kind of wherewithal or machinery or equipments or force with him to execute the decree. He has to just pass an award. Now, but let us begin from the other end first. How the arbitration is initiated? It is initiated on the basis of a written contract between the parties. A contract for arbitration can either be a separate contract or a clause in the agreement for execution of any works by any party, between two parties. There are always two or more parties to any contract. If there is a clause in writing for arbitration, God forbid, if some dispute arises between the parties, one party can give a notice to the other party that this is the dispute. You are either not fulfilling your promise, or I have fulfilled my promise, you are not paying the consideration of that. And therefore, either you please pay or you agree to the arbitration clause and let us refer the dispute to the arbitrator who will decide after hearing both of us. This notice has to wait for 60 days. If within 60 days the other party does not respond or agrees or does not agree, then the option given to the person concerned who initiates the arbitration proceedings is to approach the court concerned. In case of domestic arbitrations, the High Court of the state, or for international arbitrations, the Supreme Court of India. And under Section 11, the court, High Court or Supreme Court as the case may be, can appoint arbitrators either already agreed between the parties or after hearing them. There are panels of arbitrators maintained by all the courts also now because they have the annexed arbitration centers, and then court can appoint. Or now, after the amendment of 2015 in the Arbitration Act 1996, the institutional arbitration is being encouraged. You refer the arbitral dispute to a arbitration institution like Indian Council of Arbitration, or if it is international, London International Arbitration Center, Dubai, Singapore, SIAC is now very famous between this Future Group and Reliance fight, which is going on in the courts also. So, institutional reference, the institutions have their own panels. They will appoint the person or a committee of persons, 1, 2, 3 arbitrators, to deal with such disputes. And almost all civil disputes, you think of whatever civil dispute is possible, can be referred to arbitration and mediation. The only necessity is you should have a written agreement between the parties to enter into the arbitration. Section 8 of the Arbitration Act 1996 provides for a rather mandatory reference by the court to the arbitration if there is an arbitration clause or a written arbitration agreement. This is just to offload the burden of the courts to the ADR system. Now, after the arbitrator is not bound by the provisions of the Civil Procedure Code because they were considered very lengthy and cumbersome procedures. Even this RERA Act, which we were discussing, I was going to create, says that principles of natural justice you may have to comply with, but the procedures or provisions of Evidence Act and Civil Procedure Code will not bind the tribunals of the RERA. So almost all now new special laws which are being created to deal with the special fields are having this provision that they are given the powers of the civil courts to summon the parties, to record their evidence, ask for the production of documents, etc. These powers which are there with the civil court are given to those tribunals also. But they are not bound to follow strictly that they will have to frame issues, then take evidence, then allow cross-examination, this, that, secondary evidence, primary evidence. All this is not done. Broadly, they can follow the principles and hear the parties and give their findings or award under the arbitration. Now, after the award is given, if the award is executed by the defendant or respondent party voluntarily, very good, no issues. Otherwise, the person in whose favor the award is made by the arbitrator has to approach the civil court for execution of that decree. And there is chapter 21 of the Civil Procedure Code which applies to those executions. The other party will have to be summoned. They will have to be given notice. They will be asked to deposit the money, etc., whatever is there as a fruit of the decree. And if it doesn't do, then the consequence of imprisonment and fine and land recovery, revenue recovery, etc., will follow. Now, this is how it is done. Now, why mediation as ADR system is more preferred these days? In arbitrator also, you have the judge of your own choice. But in practical field, the arbitration has proved to be equally cumbersome, lengthy, and these days costly also. The cost of the fees of arbitrators, the traveling cost, the man hours, etc., is making this ADR also a little less attractive. Therefore, under the directions of the Honorable Supreme Court, a MCPC committee was created, mediation committee, and they started a training program of 40 hours for all the eligible advocates and CAs to train them under the MCPC program of training. And I, for one, took that training. There are many people, advocates, who take that training and become trained mediators. And that training tells you, educates you, how to facilitate the settlement between the two parties. Mediation is very effectively used, friends, in family disputes, partition disputes, Section 138 negotiable instrument disputes, matrimonial disputes. All these disputes are very effectively dealt with because there, firstly, it is a voluntary process. Nobody can compel you to go for mediation. Secondly, it is a confidential proceedings also. Whatever you disclose in the mediation hall or mediation room before the trained mediator is supposed to be kept absolutely confidential. Now, if the mediation succeeds, it results in a judicial settlement, which is drawn, reduced to writing, signed by the parties, countersigned by the trained mediator, and it goes to the court concerned where it is put the seal of a decree, and that becomes binding between the parties, and usually 99.9% no further appeals or opening up of that mediated settlement takes place. And that is why it is called a win-win situation for both the parties. So it becomes very effective. And secondly, it is very, very economical, very less costly. The mediators are paid very nominal honorarium by the system itself. They do not charge their professional fees. Of course, now private mediation centers have opened where even pre-litigation mediation is done and post-litigation mediation is also done, and where the parties can go for them and they can take their reasonable professional charges and the decrees again are executable by the courts. Now let me tell you something about chartered accountants. Now chartered accountants, as you friends know, deal with very special field. Firstly, taxation. Secondly, economic decisions. Thirdly, business decisions and complex accounting and audit practices. Now, various corporates have several kinds of disputes with their shareholders, corporate management, partners, this, that, everything keeps on happening in the business world. Now, chartered accountants have the special knowledge to understand these disputes in a more nitty-gritty manner. I, being a chartered accountant also and company secretary, also had the benefit, I would say, God had given me that understanding level of the disputes little more quickly. Not that others could not understand, but the quickness with which you can go to the root of the dispute and try to sort it out. Chartered accountants have a special edge in these kind of things. Now, being chartered accountants, your profession and practice, you can definitely encourage the parties to go for mediation where there is dispute. I had the occasion to even deal with interact with the president of the institute for last 2 presidents and secretaries, all that. So I have even given my advice and my availability to them that if there are disputes between the members and institute, students and the institute, why do you go to court? Advise them to come for mediation, settle the dispute, reduce it to writing, sign it and go off. That becomes the decree. And that's the end of the dispute. Only thing is, you have to explain the proper dispute to the properly to the parties and tell them, guide them, that going to the court for resolution of this dispute will be a more costly affair in terms of time and money both. Because courts do not just have the time to take up matters quickly and decide them quickly. As I've been telling you, that they are already so much overburdened. After all, time limit and human effort limitation is always there for all the judges. And judge does not work alone. He works with his staff, he works with investigation agencies, he works with everybody, lawyers first of all. So you can't expect a magic wand in the court that quickly the dispute will be resolved and decision will be given. Even if a decision is given, there are 2 or 3 tiers of the appeals. So it may take years before you get your civil dispute. हमारे यहाँ तो कहावत है तीसरी पीढ़ी को जाके बेनिफिट मिलता है सिविल दावे में. तो तीसरी पीढ़ी तक आप कौन खपाएंगे? How will you face all this music? And therefore, the advice which the lawyers, the chartered accountants, and the all people concerned should give, we should educate even the litigants that there is a system in place where you go for this ADR mechanism and get your dispute settled even before the court proceedings start. You don't have to go to the court at all these days. You go to the mediation centers, state mediators, they will appoint one for you. Legal service authorities act in all these states. There are separate buildings, separate staff, administrative staff for ADR system in all the states, and all the districts also. So therefore, there is no reason to start the court proceedings in a very urgent kind of manner. And this is a matter of education which we all professionals, chartered accountants included, because they deal with the business world, and business disputes are the most kind of urgent disputes which requires immediate relief. That is why all these laws are coming, Commercial Courts Act and this and that. After all, Indian legal system has to keep pace with the international standards also. There are all other countries who have these kind of mechanisms, these kind of forums, these kind of tribunals, where these kind of disputes are dealt with the specially trained people, judges and advocates. So we are trying to catch up with that image. Ultimately, if India has to become a world leader, economic world leader, we have to take the way ahead for all of us. And all the purpose of all these educative programs, including these webinars organized by the Institute, our endeavor should be that we train our people surrounding us who come to us for advice, to the chartered accountants, all your clients. We should tell them the availability of these ADR systems available in our country, where effective justice dispensation can take place. So there are enactments, there are provisions, there are people, institutions, and systems in place where ADR can effectively deliver the fruits. And courts and ADR mechanisms or ADR system work in tandem. They work hands in hand together. So in most of the court-referred mediation things, immediately you go back with the settlement to the court concerned where from the reference was made, and they put a seal of imprimatur, say that here is the decree, case disposed of, finished, matter ends there. So this is how it quickly can deliver justice. and further appeals and revisions are avoided 99%. Unless there is a fraud or a consent is obtained by misleading or misrepresenting something, then it's a different matter, because fraud unravels everything, and it is well settled legal principle. So friends, I will conclude by saying that this ADR mechanism or ADR justice dispensation is very, very effective. We all chartered accountants must contribute our professional wisdom and effort for this and for all kinds of civil disputes, and even for minor criminal offenses, like Section 138 is now a criminal offense. Matrimonial disputes, Section 498, capital A, etc. Nobody disputes. All these disputes by judge-made law have been made compoundable, and therefore a mediation settlement is binding on the courts even in these respects. Only the serious offenses like murder, rape, etc., they cannot be having a mediation thing, because that's a prosecution by the state, and it is an offense against the state, and therefore this mediation and arbitration things are very effective. Let us propagate this idea very much. Let us promote this idea, and as professionals, I think we will be serving the public cause or cause of justice in a very effective manner if we adopt and progress in this way. Thank you so much for this. Any questions, I'll be happy to answer. Thank you. Anuruddh, over to you.
Thank you so much, Kothari Sahib. It was really fantabulous to hear you and the words of wisdom and the experience which you have shared with respect to the arbitration. It was really great. And I would like to appreciate the participants as well, because more than 2,500 participants have joined today's session, and more than 1,000 participants have completed the certificate course on the arbitration. So the participants always look at the opportunity after the post-qualification courses which they do, and like the arbitration they have done. So just one question: if any chartered accountant has completed the arbitration course from Institute of Chartered Accountants of India and completed the training as well, so what are the opportunity they can directly take up if any client of a particular CA ask them to mediate or arbitrate in particular matter in a private manner, I could say.
Yes.
So is the decision or the conclusion taken by that particular chartered accountant will be accepted in the law, in the court, or not?
Absolutely, absolutely. Now with the 2019 amendment, even the chartered accountant is an eligible person to become arbitrator.
Okay.
And therefore, any two parties can appoint any chartered accountant irrespective of number of years, etc. I think number of years is prescribed, 10 years. Yes, I'm
10
sorry.
years, yes.
So 10 years plus chartered accountant can go to become arbitrator, and for that they need to either in the contract of their clients, they can introduce their names at that stage itself. So whenever a dispute arises, they are already in the picture and they can be appointed. Or they can seek their empanelment in the court annex arbitration centers, where they'll be empaneled, and whenever the occasion arises in Section 11 of the Act, they can, their clients' counsels can always tell the Honorable Court that please appoint so-and-so chartered accountant who is our choice. And if there are two, other party it does not agree and he appoints other person, then two arbiter will have to appoint third chairman of the chamber,
right.
And then 3 persons by a majority can work. So it is very easy, and that is exactly the thing which we chartered accountants need to encourage this, that let us go for this, try it out. Then only we'll know how the awards are passed, how quickly they are passed, and how effectively they are implemented.
Okay. One more question is coming, like if the decree which the arbitrator has been, can it be challenged in the court as well?
No, decree can be challenged, of course, but then decree goes to the civil court for execution. Okay. There are provisions in the Civil Procedure Code in Order 21 where the defendant can raise, or judgment debtor as we call them, can raise certain types of objections in Order 21 Rule 103, 104, etc., 97. So these objections then the executing court has to meet, but the executing court cannot go beyond the decree. It cannot change the decree. It is bound by the decree. Therefore, it can only meet, overrule the objection, and then it is effectively executed.
Okay, fine. The last question from your side, sir. What do you think, which is a better option, the mediation or the arbitration?
I would say mediation. Mediation is much more effective. and it is more a education or counseling of the disputed parties rather than compelling them. And if the parties voluntarily understand their right interest, real interest, and the egos, 99% problem is the ego. With the passage of time and good counseling by the 10 mediators, the egos go down and they see the real purpose or interest which can be achieved in a quick manner. The moment this good sense prevails over the disputed parties, they turn towards settlement. And though it's a gradual process, the mediator may have to hold 5, 10, 15, 20 meetings. There is no restriction on that. But the moment a mutual agreement happens, that is the most effective solution towards the peace. And therefore, these days, even the taxation fields, the international trade, mediation is being encouraged like anything. So I think this is far more effective and prevalent and fashionable things in these times and in times to come also.
Really. So this is going to be the one of the best opportunity for the professionals, whether they are chartered accountant or even the company secretary. So if they want to pursue on or make the growth in this field, so this is one of the best opportunity to start with.
Definitely, you all CA firm should have definitely a team in your system to encourage this field and then taste the success of this.
Right.
And I would wish that.
Thank you so much, sir, for your guidance, and really we are really grateful to you, and it's really privileged to hear you in today's session. So thank you so much, sir. Now we'll be taking few questions which we have received from the participants with respect to RERA. So Vinay sir would like your consideration out here. So the first question coming from one of the participants. So he is asking with respect to the Odisha RERA. So he said that even the builder are not giving occupation certificate of the apartments of owner even after handing over the flat more than 2 years back. So what is the remedy available to the owner in this case?
Okay, sir, one of the functions of the promoter as per section 11 is to obtain the commencement certificate as well as the occupation certificate or a completion certificate from the respective planning authority in accordance with the local laws. So that is one of the mandatory function of the promoter. Okay, so in few of the states, authority is insisting unless you have an occupation certificate, don't call your customer to register your units, because if there is no occupation certificate, tomorrow it would be difficult for that community to obtain any of the benefit which accrue into the project, like a power, maybe something like a subsidy, something like some other requirement which required for them to have this occupation certificate. So one thing which we should think that occupancy certificate is a certificate would be issued by the planning authority after verification of a building structure, making it as a habitable. That means to say if the occupation certificate which is not available, there would be something which is not built in accordance with the plan sanction. That would be the one reason. Second, there may be some genuine reason for the builder itself where authorities are not sanctioning. Then really as a customer, I should support to the builder. Let the customer know what is the reason for occupation certificate. But unfortunately, as a customer goes against the builder rather to be partnership with him to understand what is the real problem with it. Rather only the builder to go to the planning authority and ask the occupancy certificate. Let all 50 customer comes to you. Let all 50 plus 1, then the strength would be more for them to get the occupancy certificate. That would be the future of the allottees to being partner with the promoter, sir. Otherwise, things will not in place. I'll tell you, we all know that every government, every dealing with the government has some cost. And who will bear that cost? Will you think that builder will pay out of his pocket? It passes to the customer, simple. So who will get a benefit if I partner with the builders to go to the department, insist part of it. Personally, I have seen couple of promoters, they take the customers also, please come with me. I have not done any wrong. But unfortunately, this is not happening. I need your partnership. So the participant or a member who has asked, let him know the reason for why occupancy certificate is not receiving. Okay, without knowing the reason, just I'm sending a message, legal notice doesn't take us anywhere. If it is something which is not correct as part of the promoter who has done this, then he has a legal recourse. If something which is correct and still not obtained, let him partner with them and go to the authority, planning authority to obtain it, sir. That is what my professional and the personal advice also.
Okay, fine. Thank you, sir. So
Yes, sir.
one more question with respect to the area. So which area is to be mentioned in the conveyance deed, whether the carpet area or the super build-up area?
Sir, as I mentioned that if you read the objective of the act is something called standardization. I have written one article which is talks about measurement in a real estate. What is the measurement in a real estate? If you buy a 1 meter of cloth, 1 liter of milk, 1 liter of petrol, what is the measurement in the real estate sector? It is a square feet. What is that square feet? And what I am entitled to? A super built up area for you is a different in a project, for a super built up area for me is a different in another project. So in order to bring this standardization, bring the comparability, Act has made it mandate that carpet area is a must. And they define the carpet area in the Act. And the super built up area, sir, for everybody I say that, in my 20 years of my experience, not a single promoter, not a single builder, not a single engineer has defined what do you mean by a super built up area. There is no law which supports super built up area. At max laws provide, the building bylaws talks about only the built up area. There is nothing called super built up area, sir. So this is a one serious concern for any of the authorities, any of the customers collectively fight to get into a carpet area. What happens? I'll tell you multiple things which have accumulated. In the interest of maybe we have, I do not know how much time I have it, but I'll share what I am sharing is out of my practical experience. Now we are all paying our stamp duty and registration on what? Super built up area. All the stamp and registration respective department has defined, pay the stamp duty on super built up area of a square feet. If you ask me where is the super built up area, nobody measure it. A 2-bedroom house, 1,200 square feet, I end up with paying 5,000 rupees super built up area, 60 lakhs on the stamp duty on the 60 lakhs. My carpet area is only 800 square feet. Number one, that is the first time hit as a customer stamp duty I am paying it. Second, in my lifetime I have to pay the property tax on the super built up area, which I don't have it, which I don't measure it.
Right.
So who will be the loser here? So that is a practical aspect. Looking at all aspect of it, the act is very clear. Carpet area is what you are entitled to convey. Read section 17 of the RERA Act. It's very clearly that builder, the promoter has to convey the carpet area to the individual allottee and hand over and transfer the common areas to the association of allottees.
Mr. Vinay, nobody thought of challenging this. This is a wonderful point that you are paying stamp duty and everything on the super built area as given in your sale deed, but you actually have only 1,200 square feet. This gap on an undefined object of taxation, which is a well settled principle of taxation, cannot be. I did not occur to me. Thanks to you for giving this idea also and point also that somebody takes a tax and stamp duty or fees without that object of taxation or measurement of taxation well defined in the law.
Yes, sir.
This cannot be done. They should have been challenged somewhere. I don't know whether it's something pending or not, but some chartered accountant should awaken now.
Sir,
that is why the combination of chartered accountants and advocates is very necessary.
Yeah, the support from.
And I have been advocating this idea of chartered accountants being allowed to practice in courts of law for long now. And the institute executive heads need to really concentrate on this. It's a long fight, but it's a good fight, worth fighting, that you should be allowed a right of practicing in the courts of law.
Sir, just for your information, section 56 of the RERA Act allows
Yes.
the chartered accountant to represent before the authority, before the adjudicating officer, and also before the tribunal, sir. And adjudicating officer are retired district judge and tribunal is retired high court judge.
No, but the points like this can only be decided by writ jurisdiction of the High Court.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Therefore, unless you people can explain
Yes,
these
yes.
provisions in all detail to the High Court, this may not. Yes, anyway, but good, I think, good discussion.
We
Who
have,
will build the cat is
Sri
important.
Hansraj Chugh sir as well, who is the vice chairman of the committee. Sir, you wanted to add something on this?
Mr. Chugh is here, yes. Namaskar.
Justice कोठारी साहब नमस्कार.
नमस्कार आपको देखा मैं स्क्रीन पे.
नहीं आपसे मिलने की तो मेरी बहुत इच्छा थी.
आप आइए, स्वागत है आपका जोधपुर में.
हाँ. So I'll certainly visit you sometime.
Sure.
आपने सही पॉइंट रेज किया कि चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट्स our chartered accountants are there with the multiple qualification and qualification of the law also along with them, but they can practice only one of the area. But advantage goes at the same time. Being a chartered accountant, if you have a qualification of the law and you are practicing into the law, that is the added advantage because you understand the accounting and the other aspects
Definitely.
and the economic side. But somehow both the area cannot be practiced because the law which relates with the legal side, it does not allow them to go along with.
I know that. That is why I'm saying the law is required to be amended to facilitate CAs to be introduced there.
Allowed to be.
I know Advocates Act does not permit this.
Yeah, Advocate Act does not allow it.
I know that. But that is why I had to surrender my CA certificate of practice, sir, to become a lawyer. And that is the practice going on. But then time has come where at least for economic laws or banking laws or these laws, the chartered accountants per se on the basis of their CA certificate practice should be allowed in the courts. Advocates Act needs to be amended. Lawyers will not easily agree to this. There will be a tough fight. But then it is the general public interest which has to prevail. Parliament should enact the law which is in the larger public interest, not in the interest of any particular section.
Yeah, you are very right. The law which relates with the economic side or the commercial aspects of the country, this can be allowed with. The other civil or the criminal side, they cannot be. Basically, the expertise is not there with the chartered accountants. But to the extent it relates with the commercial aspects of
they should be allowed. This should be a good beginning for the CAs. And it can open up large professional avenues for chartered accountants.
That's right.
Large.
No, it's a good, but somehow this is very difficult to crack with. It's a quite, because the lobby of the advocates.
Well begun is half done, sir.
We'll take up the guidance of Justice Vinay.
Don't hesitate to start me feeling that it will be difficult. Start, it will someday happen.
Okay, sir.
Yes.
So one more question coming up to me. So Vinay sir, whether the RERA is also applicable in the Gram Panchayat area as well?
Sir, if you read a section 3, where it is applicable, it applicable to all real estate project. The definition of a real estate project is mentioned, and it excludes the non-planning area. If you see what do you mean by non-planning area, as such there is no place called non-planning area. However, in recent days I had with a few states like a Gujarat or something, they have something which doesn't require a planning permission to build something. Maybe those things which is not part of the non-planning area, at least to the extent of the practice which I have there in the southern states or the 5 states, there is no area called non-planning area. To build something, you need to take approval from some agency, which maybe comes under the urban development or under country and town and country planning act. Certainly it requires some or other approvals, sir. Whether you build at Gram Panchayat, whether you build at Taluka level or at the urban level, if it comes under some of the authority which which issue some sanction plan, then that is covered under RERA, sir.
Okay, fine. One more question, sir. The builder or can a builder or RWA recover the common area maintenance from allottees before obtaining the project completion certificate from the authority?
Okay, sir. It's a very practical question. Okay, and if you see the order which is passed today, not today, in the very recent, authority has clearly mentioned if the project is incomplete, it is the liability of the promoter to maintain the project till the completion.
Okay.
That is the one thing we should look at that. Second, mere non-receipt of the occupation or completion certificate doesn't mean that the residents not liable to pay for a compensation. Practically, you think, sir, occupancy certificate or completion certificate are not issued for whatever be the reasons. Project is completed, promoter is complied with everything. Now, mere not receipt of this document is that maintenance is not made by the promoter. He has to maintain the project. Security has to put, water he should supply, electricity for a common area. So it all depends on the case-to-case basis. If the project is not completed, need not to maintain it, need not to pay it. If the project is completed, he can go back, allottees can go back and check that. Reason for, again, non-receipt of occupation certificate. If he's incurring it, you can request subsidize some money. You pay 90%, we pay 10%, you pay, or we pay 90%, you pay 10%. Somewhere we have to come, sir. Okay. Otherwise, this will never be a resolution to either of them, sir.
Okay. So in case of any non-compliance, if proceedings have been started under the RERA, so is there any timeline by when we need to close the case under the RERA?
Sir, every complaint filed by the...
Sir, in addition to this, just wanted one more addition on these questions, whether the CRPC will apply on the RERA proceedings or not.
Okay, both are different questions. I will tell you, any complaint filed by before the adjudicating officer or the appellate tribunal, they have 60 days to complete it and pass the order. And maybe this would be to my experience, this is the act mentions the number of days, and most of the states trying to implement it. Sir, let us understand this is just a 4 years or 5 years of law, number one. And the complaint, if you see that failed, belonging to 10 years, 12 years, 15 years, there are no complaint received by the authority for the project which is sanctioned after 1/5/2017. That means the act, after the act has come, there are no complaints for those projects. What we have seen is about 10, 20 years of old complaints. It has flooded like this. About 1 lakh complaint across all the authorities, they are sitting on it. So it's humanly not possible to pass within 60 days or 60. But I'll tell you honestly, authorities are making maximum efforts in terms of passing these orders, sir. If not 60, maybe about 90 days, 100 days. But I'm sure that there is a honest effort by every authority to pass the orders within time, sir. Maybe another down the line 2-3 years, you can see that orders may be passed within 30 days after filing a complaint also, because there is nothing there on their plotter. There is no baggage for them. Number one. Second is the CRPE proceedings. Sir, both are different topics because that comes under IBC law. This is a RERA. It all depends on the case. Always as a professional, even though I practice RERA and also IBC, if you are a allottee, if you are a group of customers, RERA has a much advantageous than the IBC. If you go to IBC, you have a haircut. In RERA, there is nothing called haircut. Under RERA, allottees has a first right to take over the project. If you go to IBC, your COC has a first right to take over the project. I do not have anything. So RERA has made more secure to the allottees than the IBC proceedings. But unfortunately, allottees are not really like associated. They're one till they file a complaint. The moment they file a complaint, they're all scattered. The people who leading are stuck in terms of what to do next. So this has to be understood by the association allottees before they step into this, sir. Okay.
Okay. So one question from the builder side, whether a builder can move to the second appeal before High Court without pre-deposit as per the RERA Act.
Sir, that is a very, very difficult, because under section 43 of the Act as mandated to pay 30% and 100% both. In case of a amount which is related to the authority, it's order of the authority is about 100%. And it's very difficult, sir. At this point of time, the Punjab and Haryana High Court is very clearly mentioned. Act mandates 100% of the deposit. There is no way that the builders can file without depositing the 100%. And most of the appellates are dismissing the application in terms of non-complying with depositing of the money, sir. Maybe appellate is allowing them to deposit 30% along with the application. We'll admit it. But by the time you come to an argument stage, please deposit balance 70%, then we'll allow you to argue, otherwise we'll dismissing the application. It's very difficult, sir. This is one of the request by the builder community to the central government itself of give me some relief and amend it. If we had a money, we would have been paid to the allotee itself. Where is the question of appeal? I do not have a money, so hence the reason, sir.
Fine, sir.
Yeah.
So, sir, what about the cases which are going with us, and it happens before the enforcement of this act of RERA, that is before 2016. So, what are the remedies available for the allottees where they have invested in the properties before 2016?
Sir,
And properties are under construction, still they are under construction.
Sir, any project, any real estate project as on 1/5/2017, if they do not have a completion certificate, all those projects are called ongoing project. They are liable to register with RERA. The moment they are liable to register with RERA, whether they are registered or not, allottees of those projects has all the benefit which accrues under RERA as an allotee is accrued to them also, sir. They can file a complaint, including direct the promoter to register the project under RERA. Those called unregistered projects, most of the authorities are allowing that project complaint, sir.
Okay, fine. So,
Sir, which is that provision which you said requires this 30% deposit appeal to High Court? Second appeal is provided in section 58.
Sir, if you read the 43
talks of establishment of real estate tribunal.
Yes, sir. If you read 43 subsection 5,
Okay.
which mandates you to remit or deposit the money itself. Once you deposit, there is nothing called you go to High Court and deposit the money.
No, this will lie to the first appeal. The first
Yes,
appeal is different than second appeal to the High Court. So at the time of first appeal, if you have to deposit 30%, that will depend upon that. If you want to go to first appeal, then you have to deposit.
Yes,
But
sir.
then for filing second appeal under section 100 of CPC, which I know lies only on the substantial questions of law.
Yes, sir.
For that, I do not think they have to deposit again 30%. Whatever is deposited for first appeal authority is okay.
Sufficient. Yes, sir.
That is the condition.
Yes, sir.
Again, I don't think section 58 requires. It only says any person aggrieved by the decision of the or the appellate tribunal may file appeal to the High Court within 60 days from the date of communication on any one or more of the grounds specified in section 100 of CPC, which talks of substantial question of law.
Yes, sir.
So there is no redeposit of again 30%.
No, sir. No, it is natural justice also. You deposited 100% there. Then why do we need another 30%?
You are right. Why should I deposit if I have the money? I will pay to the allottees.
Exactly, sir.
Settle with
Yes,
them the
yes.
amicable settlement.
True, sir. True.
Yes.
It is only to drag my case to certain days, certain time.
That's it.
That is the only thing, sir. Otherwise, doesn't really call for it.
Yes. 43 requires okay. No problem.
So, sir, what about in case of government agencies like Noida Authority, if they give us the plot on lease to builder, is this covered under the definition of promoter or not?
Yes, sir.
Covered. Okay.
Sir, if you read the section 3(1), it talks about which is built on freehold land or which is the leasehold land. Both are covered, sir. And also second, if you read the definition of a promoter, section 2, which very clearly tell that including the government authorities, including the planning authorities, including the development agencies, like whatever you call it as housing boards or maybe the development authority which develops, everybody is included as part of that, sir.
Okay. So we have 2-3 more questions. So the last 3 questions are: can the future payment to be made by the allottee be based on the fixed timeline, or is there any clause under the RERA that has to be based on the completion of the project both?
Okay, it's a very good question, sir. It's a very practical question. If you read the act mandates the promoter to withdraw the money based on the percentage of completion of the project.
Yes.
Section 4 to LD of the Act, Proviso 1, Proviso 2, Proviso 3 mandates the promoter to withdraw the money in accordance with the project progress. That's a percentage of completion of the project. Consider day 1, I launched a project and I have given it a very high discount and I collected 100% money. What do? I have to keep it in my RERA designated bank account.
Hmm.
and it can be withdrawn based on my percentage of completion only. So there is no benefit for any of the promoter to collect more money than what is delivered to the customer from time to time. Absolutely, there is no benefit. So irrespective of whether he collect more money or less money, he is eligible to withdraw money based on the percentage of completion of the project. Having said, there is no specific mandate that I can only collect money based on the percentage of completion or time schedule. There is a flexibility. If you read the model draft agreement of sale, which is notified by the central government, which has a particular paragraph which clearly tells that the promoter can give an additional discount of money to the allottees of the project, where allottees are willing to pay upfront. So that gives a more benefit in case of to raise the working capital through the allottee rather than to the banker. I can give more discount so that I can collect more money, sir.
Okay. So the
Yeah.
last question is, like one participant is asking, I have filed a case against the builder in UP RERA and got favorable order from RERA. So as per the order, builder needs to pay the refund along with the interest. Now builder is not making refund. So what is the remedy? I think this is the same question which Kothari sir has asked initially.
Execution.
The
Yes, sir.
execution part.
Execution, they have to go before the Tahsildar or a DC, file an
Hmm.
application for execution, and they have to execute it, sir.
Okay, okay. So thank you so much, sir. It was really fantastic to hear you, and very detailed coverage you have shared with the participants. And indeed, Kothari sir has given great insight with respect to the ADR. So we look forward to see you both the great speakers in the coming sessions as well for the our participants. And now for the formal vote of thanks and concluding remarks, we have very energetic and a very down-to-earth personality, the vice chairman of the committee, C. Hansraj Shukji, who always inspired with their activities to all the members across the India. So welcome, Hansraj Shukji, and I request you to please share your words for words of thanks and concluding remarks.
Thank you, Anirudh. Really a young and dynamic professional from Delhi only. I really appreciate the way he has taken all the questions and he has taken forward this program as such, focusing on the RERA and the ADR. You see, like the program was once this our chairman, Dr. Adukia, Rajkumar Adukia ji, he was planning about the program. He just rang me up, कि we want to have a program on the RERA and the ADR. So who can be the best person? So naturally, name of the Dr. Kothari and the Vinay came in. So naturally, immediately it suggested that yes, the best of the personality around us, having a grasp, starting from the initial how to this has been evolved. These law has taken shape of over a period of time. These are the matured law now. Whether we talk about the alternate dispute resolution or we talk about the RERA, naturally, though normally whatsoever the execution part of the difficulty in the system that still exists because of the builder's working system is altogether different. It is not taking in the spirit in which the business normally we think of doing in business how it is has to be, but builders mindset is altogether different, and this law has really been brought a good relief for the society, for the householding, for the anything you talk about. This is a good relief, and more so in addition to this law, when it brought in the other law which came in existence, the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code, that has also changed the mindset of the taking into the business. So these are the economic and the commercial law once it has been rightly understood in the right spirit. So today we are fortunate enough कि Dr. Justice Kothari, who happens to be a profession, a chartered accountant also in addition to the legal side, or having been there at the position, we talk about the acting Chief Justice of the Gujarat High Court. So you see, like the powerful person who matches the minds of the professional like we all, So if deliverables coming from horse's mouth, so what can be the better? So I hope so, though I missed it because I was having a meeting with another justice who is sitting with the NCLT, though it was just because I am heading a committee called Public Services. So my secretariat they got an appointment with one of the justice only, who also happens to be from our own fraternity. He is a NCLT member here in Delhi. So because of the same time matching with, so I requested my chairman Dhukia ji ki I'll be joining little later. So he immediately जो है in the manner our chairman is also quite helping hand. He understands. He's a vast experience into the commercial law and the economic system. So I'm very grateful and thankful to Justice Vineet Kothari ji, who has a multi-fairness, many fairness जो है an asset for the institution, for the asset for our own ICI. So hope the same kind of strength will continue to be there. Whenever Kothari Sahab, we need you for the different committee. In my committee, in the public services also, you have to do where I'm chairing the committee, you have to do. I'll be visiting you personally also sometimes for your guidance and your support, not only to this particular committee, but committee in toto with the ICI for the overall understanding and the growth of this profession and connecting with the legal profession, because they are somehow interlinked profession. So that help will be requiring from you from time to time. I'm very grateful and thankful to for the deliberation and the making us a live session, which I hope so the all the participants may have enjoyed it and have whatever the doubts are there, whatsoever wherever they feel something to be guided with, they got to the satisfaction. All the queries has been put forward. At the same time, the Vinay Tyagraj ji, with whom really I have the way he has brought so many things to the clarification and so many newer things wherever the doubts are there, that has been taken forward and rightly said that this is not only for the professional advancement, but for a person like a professional, those who have been engaged with or booked any kind of property with any builders also. So how to manage under this law? This may be the advantageous in somehow better than the IBC even, because IBC it is the control goes to the COC, but here the control lies with the person who has invested it. So here, in that sense, it is an advantageous position, but the continuance or the other things, if taken together, so then IBC may be having some little advantageous position. So I am very grateful and thankful to Vinay ji, to you also. You are a well explained all the things together, all the things, and hope your engagement with the ICI in the different committee and with this particular committee, which is directly taking care of the economic and commercial law, and in addition to the economic advisory services also. Wherever you feel like where we can put forward any words to the different ministries at the central level, that also wherever the amendments need to be done or something nitty-gritty or some remodeling of anything as to through the platform of the ICI, through this committee, we can reach to them also. Because reason being it is a consultative process, and you see like if you the personality like you bring out something to the ICI and that matches with and that is the real picture with, so we can give to the legislature also. So under the system, the legislature, administrator, and the justice, if all the three things goes together, the ecosystem matches wherever. But start thinking about from the administrative perspective also, and from the judiciary, the judgment to be given or the things to be taken wherever the differences are there. So that has also to be, so that legislature feel like it has to be strengthened. The law should be strengthened. Law should be given without any ambiguity, so that the litigation has to be minimized. So I am very grateful and thankful to both of you for taking your time out. Though this is a virtual program, we cannot offer as far as the any kind of reason being there is a limitation in the virtual programs. So with that limitation, but words itself speak coming from the heart of this committee. We are very grateful and thankful to both of you. Thanks to the chairman of the committee also for in a very shortest time. It's not like we start thinking about and it goes months and months. So that is the advantage of this virtual also. Because it's a technology is available in the easy time, in the shortest time, you can manage bigger programs also. Thanks to the chairman and thanks to the Anirudh also for taking as a moderator of this program, taking the program forward with the best of the manner, and the secretariat headed by Salini Gulati, who has really all the sportive and the logistic system she brought around us. So technical support people also around us. I'm very grateful and thankful to them also. Thank you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Take leave. Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
luck.
Thank you so much,
Thank
sir.
you, sir.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you. Namaste. Thank you.